Hi, my name's Kelsey, and today we're going to learn how to sew ribbons and elastic on the pointe shoes and how to tie the ribbons. So before we start, we want to have our measuring tape, scissors, a pencil, a sewing needle and thread, about a ½ yard of elastic so that you can cut it to your desired length, and about 80 inches of ribbon, but usually the person at the store where you get your pointe shoes gives you the right amount, so all you have to do is cut it into 4 equal pieces. So about 22 inches each. So your ribbon, as I said, usually comes in one long piece, and mine is already cut into 4 equal pieces. And before sewing the ribbons on, you need to measure and make sure that you have at least 88 inches. Take the shoe and find the side seams. So when you do this, make sure you measure about a ½ inch behind the side seam. Another way to do this is to fold the back of the shoe and then mark this area with the pencil. So I'll mark the area where the back of the shoe meets the inside with the pencil. And that's where we're going to put our ribbon, just like this. Another way, okay, now that we know our location where we're going to put the ribbon on our pointe shoe, we want to make sure that the ends don't fray, because usually the fabric in ribbon frays. One way to do this is to fold it about 3/4 of an inch back and then fold it again. And then from here we would place it right after our mark and sew a rectangle around. Now when we sew a rectangle, we can use a simple overhand stitch or just a simple stitch, a straight stitch. Another way to make sure that the end of the ribbon doesn't fray, which is one of my favorites, is to use a lighter or match on the end, which I had already used on this pair, but just to give a little example, I'll use a lighter. So you just lightly do the ends, otherwise your ribbon will catch on fire. Okay, so now that the lighter didn't work, which sometimes happens, we will go and use matches to show you how to burn the ends. So, you just want to lightly hold it under and wait till the ends melt. And if a little piece catches on fire, don't worry, just blow it out. So now we can see that it's melted, let it cool about 15 seconds and you're ready to go. Always dispose of the match in a safe manner, in the sink or in a cup of cold water. Now, just do the same with the other end and you'll be set to go to sew your ribbons onto your pointe shoes. So first I'll demonstrate a simple straight stitch, which, as some of you may know, just you go through the shoe and then kind of match it up and then go straight back in. I'm using a darker thread than normal just to show the stitch pattern. Most people use an ivory thread or a lighter pink thread to match the ribbon. So now just continue in this way to form a rectangle. That's really important, otherwise sometimes the thread comes undone or it can be uncomfortable around the shoe. It also adds a bit more support and security and allows to make sure that the ribbon, again, does not fray. So we're just simply going around again, forming that rectangle. A thimble would probably be a good thing to use because sometimes the fabric on the pointe shoe is a little difficult to work with. On the other side, I'll demonstrate an overhand stitch for those of you that don't know what that is. Another option instead of thread is dental floss, which people who actually start dancing longer hours use quite a bit of because it's thicker, it's stronger, and it won't break. It's more durable. It's like getting a North Face jacket compared to a Target jacket. And we are almost done here, just making our last leg up. And preferably small stitch sizes are wanted. Mine are a little large, but if you want to make them smaller, smaller is better. What you want to try and avoid is just doing 2 stitches and then slipping on your point shoes. Because then you're going to have to do it all over again. And possibly have to get more ribbon. Now what I'm doing here also, since I don't have a thimble, is I'm actually using the shank of the shoe to help me push the needle through. Another option, especially for the dancer who is in a hurry. Almost done. Yay! And then just end off your stitch in any way that you usually end your sewing stitch. I usually do a candy cane method, I guess it's called. And I stick my needle through the thread and then wrap it around like a candy cane. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. And then push the needle through. Voila! And we have 1 ribbon on using the straight stitch. Now we're going to sew the other ribbon on using the overhand stitch, and we're going to use the fold method. So when I go down here, and I have to mark my other location on my point shoe. A nice thick mark in pencil, right where the heel meets the fabric of the inside. So then I'm going to fold it 3/4 of an inch about, and then 1 more time after that. Again, making sure that the shiny side of the ribbon is on the outside, because you do not want to have mismatching ribbon. Well, you could, but it's ballet. Everything's perfect, I guess. So I'm going to start doing the overhand stitch. Again, using the shank to help me push the needle back through. And then coming through the fabric. And back. And so after you do a few stitches, this is what it's going to start to look like, the pattern of the overhand stitch. So just continue that around again in your rectangle pattern. And you should on the elastic, which involves finding the back seam of the shoe, and then taking your elastic, which the length is different for each person since it depends on how thick your ankle is and how much tightness you want when you plie. So you should start by just sewing one side of the elastic on first, and right on the other side of that inseam so that it lines up with the back seam stitching. Now some people sew it on straight like this, or they like to sew it on in a diagonal so that it more closely follows the curve of the ankle in a loop. So we have one shoe here where we did a straight stitch, and it's sewn in the straight style. And now to find the desired length, you need to try the shoe on like so. And then wrap it around until you hit the other heel area. And you can look right below the line where the drawstring is kept in. You'll see where it's going to hit the shoe. Now mine, I guess I had already cut to a predetermined length. This is probably about the tightness I want. Another way for beginners to find how tight they want their elastic to be is to stretch it across so that it feels tight and taut, and then do a plie. That way you can see if it's going to be too tight in some of your more strenuous ballet activities. So, my length is good. So I will do the other stitch using a diagonal, just to show the different styles. Again, matching the corner of the elastic to the back seam of the shoe. One of the really important reasons why we match it to the back of the shoe and not over the instep like many people would naturally have an inclining to do is because the elastic keeps the ballet shoe on the heel. It keeps the heel from slipping off, basically, when you're doing your spins and turns and twists. And if we did it over the instep, like this, then that would have no reference or attachment to the heel whatsoever and would not keep it from sliding off. That's what our ribbons are for. So, I'll just do a couple quick stitches. Again, many people would probably want to do a few more, but this is just to give us a general idea. And I kind of moved up, but it's going to be in the general location. We'll call it the diagonal stitch. Now we are going to learn how to tie the ribbons for us beginner ballet dancers. So once the shoe is on, wrap one ribbon, there's no preference as to which one you choose, across the top of your instep. I'll do this one. Across the top of your instep, and then around your ankle. Now, keeping this first ribbon snug and flat, wrap the other ribbon in the other direction across the top of your instep and around your ankle. So now we have both wrapped around our insteps and once around the ankle. Now, if you have more ribbon left, which you should, given that you should have 22 inches, wrap this one more time, right over each other until they're both on the instep of your leg. Again, the shiny side's out. Now comes to tying the knot. So just tie the ribbons together and usually do a double knot. Some dancers choose to hairspray their double knot to make sure it doesn't unravel. Some choose to do a bow and then tuck that one in. But I find that a knot's fine, as long as you take your ribbon and slowly roll it up from the bottom and then grab your other ribbon once it comes to the same length, like so. Now just take time. Now you have it wrapped to the top, then just tuck it in under the ribbons that you have already wrapped around your ankle. This should make sure that your ribbons are snug, hopefully not too tight. If they're too tight, just start over and wrap again, but you should have tied them while you're in a plie or a standing position. So now you have the knot tucked under, so they cannot be seen. Now, note that when dancers perform in pointe shoes, they often sew the ribbons down so that the ends don't pop out while they're dancing. So it just requires a quick pop of the needle and thread to make sure that it stays in location. So if I had knotted it and done whatnot, then any person can see how that would help to keep it in location. I apparently have gotten it stuck. Okay, we almost got it through. And my assistant. Good. And so now you should have your first pointe shoe down. You have learned how to pick out and select your elastic and ribbon, and learn how to attach it to the pointe shoe in a correct overhand stitch and straight stitch. Same with the elastic. And we have learned how to tie the ribbon.